Wherefore was that cry?
The Queen, my lord, is dead.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. Creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays of lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out. Out. Brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. And then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Wherefore was that cry?
The Queen, my lord, is dead.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. Creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. And then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
The Queen, my lord, is dead.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word.
Tomorrow.
And tomorrow. And tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the a syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty dead. Out. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
If this workshop's done anything, I hope it's scotched the, in my view, wrong belief that Shakespeare's verses music, and all you have to find out is the tune and everything will be all right. Rather, I believe that if you look after the sense, the sounds will look after themselves. I saw Maurizio Pollini play a late Beethoven sonata recently, and I had a strange feeling for about 5 miraculous seconds that I didn't know whether he was putting the music into the piano or whether he was taking it out of the piano. And acting at its best, Shakespeare, I think, is of that nature, that the actor is the playwright and the character simultaneously. This can only be achieved by the actor having total awareness of all the complexities of Shakespeare. So if we take a speech like Macbeth's last soliloquy, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, which, to crudely summarize, is a description of total blackness, total despair, that life is finite. It isn't enough just to say that and put that quality of despair into the voice and just hope it and just follow the rhythms. You've got to do many more things as well. You have to think and have analysed in rehearsal totally, so that your imagination, being fed by the concrete metaphors, concrete images, pictures, can then feed through into the body, into gesture, into timbre of voice, into eyelids, into every part of the actor's makeup. So that it does seem, as Trevor just said, that he is making it up as he goes along, although the actor, of course, knows that he isn't. But to start at the top with the first line, and I'll try as far as possible to relate this to blank verse, but it would be impossible for me not to mention imagery and all sorts of other literary devices which we haven't been talking about generally today. Satan says to Macbeth, "The Queen, my lord, is dead." And Macbeth replies, "She should have died hereafter," which is a short line. She should have died hereafter, indicating that there should be a pause, I think. And during that pause in performance, with the audience rather round me as you are now, I used to take that advantage of that pause to catch the audience's eye and begin the soliloquy, which is Macbeth, me, the actor, to talking directly, sharing my thoughts with you, the audience. Hereafter introduces one element of time, the future. Then we get a regular blank verse line. There would have been a time for such a word. Dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. There would have been a time, stressed, time, the speech is about time, for such a word. Word is the last line. What word? Is it she, the Queen? Is it hereafter? Is it time? There's something about that line which trips, in Hamlet's words, tick-tocks like a clock. There would have been a time for such a word. It's leading on to the next line, and here comes the word which is important, tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. There are only 2 words in that line, an irregular line, given weight by its repetition 3 times, and the tripping of there would have been a time for such a word slows down on tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. The rhythm is important. It's also a nonsense word if you say it 3 times, or if you say it 20 times, like a kid skipping tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. What does that word mean, tomorrow? It's beginning to have the lack of meaning, I think, that Macbeth detects in his own life at this point, creeps in this petty pace from day to day. And here comes the first metaphor, the first image. And the rhythm is beginning to creep, is beginning to plod, like someone plodding along a country lane. It's footsteps now, not the tick-tock of a clock. Creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Well, we've had tomorrow. We've now got today at the end of the line. From day to day, but it leads on to the next line to, not day, but the last syllable of recorded time. And it slows up even more, ending up with a very important word, time, at the end of the sentence. Syllabel. I wonder if bell isn't the bell of a clock which records time. And we get a regular line. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools. Yesterday. We've had tomorrow, we've had today, we've now got yesterday. We've got the whole complex of time. Macbeth is not just talking about himself, he's talking about eternity and going to say something about it. All our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. And that's where the sentence ends, in the middle of the next line. But one has to carry on and speak it as a line and a half. All our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. What is the image there that I must have clearly in my mind so that I can get the right emotion of despair? It's what? It's a fool walking along a dusty path, plodding, creeping with petty pace. A fool is what? A village idiot? Wandering along a country lane with, what, a guttering candle? I don't know, a lantern? Fool is a pun, of course. Fools, like Lear's fool, Feste, in Twelfth Night, are professional entertainers. That will be relevant in a moment, and I have to contain in my mind, as I say the word fool, that it is a pun. See two sorts of fools. That line is completed with the shock of the harsh rhythm of out, out, brief candle. The fool's candle has caught a gust of wind and is blown out, and he collapses into a dusty death in the unmade road of Elizabethan England. The last candle or light we saw in the play is Lady Macbeth's candle, which she was carrying in her sleepwalking scene, and she is dead. It's Lady Macbeth's death which is being talked about in the speech. It is the fool's death, village idiot's death. It's going to be Macbeth's death. It's going to be everybody's death. It's at this time, about this time that Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, that candles were being used in indoor theatres. And that may be relevant too when we get on to the next line, which is, life's but a walking shadow. Walking gentleman is a phrase we still use in the theatre, meaning someone who is available in any company to walk on and play a meagre part. He's the lowliest member of a company. But life is not even a walking gentleman, he's a walking shadow. Less than even the meanest player. And the line is completed by a poor player. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. And although Macbeth is talking about time, about life, Shakespeare is making those vasty concepts very concrete, very particular, not just to Macbeth himself, but to the actor who is playing Macbeth, because we're now talking about players and the audience who know they are an audience, know that McKellen playing Macbeth is an actor. They are beginning to be drawn into Macbeth's dilemma as Macbeth relates it to a player, to an actor. That's a regular line that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and we're reminded perhaps of the King Cambyses and Marlovian regular verse and people who do stamp out the rhythm as they parade. That struts and frets his hour, a concept of time, upon the stage, and then is heard no more. End of sentence, end of thought. Middle of the line, however. It is a tale told by an idiot. idiot reaches back into the fool who was walking along the country lane with a candle that went out. Full of sound and fury, end of line. And the last line is signifying nothing. And the beats of the rest of that pentameter are not there, because the end of the speech is total silence, total oblivion, total emptiness. So much one could say about it, but just let me run through the last words of each line, and you will see that they add up to what the speech is all about. Hereafter, word, tomorrow, today, time, fools, candle, player, stage, tale, fury, nothing. I must have all that in my mind as I'm going through it. Not so that you, the audience, can understand those complexities, because I'm not giving a lecture. I think the poetry and the rhythm and all those devices that Shakespeare uses are not for the audience's benefit, they are for the actors, so that having absorbed them into his heart and his mind, he can then express them with all the other things at his command, which are his body, his facial expression, and if the production is working well, the way the production is blocked, is arranged, the way the scenery is painted, and the way the lights are lit. Crown?
The Queen, my lord, is dead.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.